Good afternoon and welcome to the SR 520 Portage Bay Bridge and Roanoke Lid Project's January monthly construction meeting, our first meeting of 2026. Really excited to see so many people on this call. My name is Alan Van, and I am the Public Information Manager for the Skanska team. I will be kicking us off today before we dive into some construction updates for you folks. Next slide, please. During today's meeting, you'll be hearing from myself and one of Skanska's community liaisons, Ray Pittman. We also have a couple of other team members on the call as well, so you may be hearing from them throughout the presentation. With that, we do have a presentation on construction activities, and then we'll dive into the Q&A again at the end of the meeting. Next slide, please. On today's agenda, we'll give a quick overview of the project overall, including the project benefits and the schedule, and then we'll dive a little bit more into the current construction activities, talking about the upcoming pile driving in Portage Bay, some information on acoustic fence or acoustic fencing installation, and then also a quick update on tree removal throughout the project area as well. But then we'll also dive a little bit into some upcoming construction, talking about the temporary off-ramp construction, which you can see pictured to the right of their screen, and then also talk about nearby project work and some traffic effects that you can expect for the rest of this month and in February. Lastly, we'll talk a little bit about how to stay informed, and then also go through the Q&A session. With that, I will pass it over to Ray for information on construction. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Alan, and welcome to our first monthly construction update of 2026. I'm really excited to be hosting today. Alan introduced me. My name is Rayanna Pittman, and I am one of the Skanska engineers on the SR 520 Portage Bay Bridge project, and I am excited to share some construction updates with you. Next slide, please. So this is our Portage Bay Bridge and Roanoke Lid project. We are constructing two new Portage Bay Bridge projects. We'll have Portage Bay Bridge North and Portage Bay Bridge South, as well as the Roanoke Lid that will have a beautiful park, as well as connect new bike and pedestrian connections all the way over Roanoke. Next slide, please. We are currently in our first quarter of 2026. We are doing our new westbound bridge construction, which is also Portage Bay Bridge North. So that'll be north of our current Portage Bay Bridge. We're working on this construction and then through 2027, and we'll continue with the removal of the existing bridge and then constructing our new eastbound bridge. And then the Roanoke Lid construction is ongoing during this time period as well, and then we'll move into landscape, and then we have our in-water impact pile driving seasons, as you can see down below. Next slide, please. So our current construction activities will, as Alan went over, we have our pile driving as well as current tree removal and then some of the acoustic fence. So I'll review that in the next few slides. So we're currently in season 2 of our in-water impact pile driving, which we started in early September, which will go through April 30th. We have currently been pile driving mainly on the north side of our current Portage Bay Bridge, and we've installed about approximately 30% of the piles for season 2 in water. We have been, and we can do our vibratory pile installation throughout the year. We'll continue. Currently, pile driving is on hold as we look at some of our design evaluations and other construction activities happening in the area. We'll make sure to notify well in advance when we plan to continue our impact pile driving through season 2. We're looking at early this spring into later in the spring, making sure we complete our planned pile driving through season 2. We're looking at picking back up between the Portage Bay Bridge condominiums and the Queen City Yacht Club. We'll be pile driving in that area before the end of season 2 to complete our connection to the Boyer Avenue area, where this will be part of our access to the work trestles. Next slide, please. As I'd mentioned before, this is kind of the areas that we still have remaining for this season. The shaded purple area on the west side of the south trestle. This is where we intend to pick back up when we finish pile driving for season 2. And then potentially we'll have some of our schedule adjustments, but we're also looking at picking back up more towards the northeastern side of our work trestle. Next slide, please. And just as a reminder of our differences for impact pile driving, this is when we're hammering in the top of the pile. It makes a loud, sharp sound, and we're only allowed to do this through September 1st through April 30th. And then on land, we can do this year round while we do try to maintain our schedules. We maintain the noise commitments that we have to the community, and the vibratory is kind of as we use a slightly different piece of machinery to vibe in the piles into Portage Bay. Next slide, please. So some of the acoustic fence installation has been happening throughout the project vicinity. We completed acoustic fence installation towards the West Montlake Place area where our access road is on the southeastern side. We'll pick back up acoustic fence installation in the Roanoke neighborhood. We use this fence to mitigate some of the construction noise that's happening within the project, and we found it's an effective way to reduce that noise for nearby neighbors and then also provide some of a visual break from the construction activities. Next slide, please. This is a map of where we're going to install acoustic fence throughout the project site. As I mentioned, we had completed some acoustic fence installation on the southeastern side of our project by the Montlake off-ramp exit, where we are going to have our Temp Bridge 1 and some more activity with our southeast Hall Road nearing completion. We're planning to pick back up our acoustic fence installation early February, late January, up in the Roanoke neighborhood. And then on the opposite side of the 520 exit from north or southbound I-5, we'll install those acoustic fences up in that area towards the end of 2026, as well as down by the Portage Bay condominiums on Boyer. Once we've kind of wrapped up more of our construction in that area to allow for some of the buffer for that neighborhood as well. Next slide, please. We're continuing our select tree removal. We have a map of where we've currently removed trees, where we have remaining tree removal, which is shaded in the orange, and then the gray areas where we've completed tree removal. We've maintained as many of our trees as possible, and we like to maintain them for as long as possible until we're approaching construction conflicts in the area. We expect the vegetation to resume, especially in the orange areas, later in 2026. And we'll continue to keep those sign postings of what trees are protected as well as scheduled to be removed. And then you can also receive those updates through the construction corner or any of our monthly construction updates, as well as the listserv. Next slide, please. So some upcoming construction and traffic impacts in the area. I'll review those as well as what we can see in the future through some of February. So one of our major traffic impacts that we're looking to have in 2026 is the traffic shift from the eastbound off-ramp to Montlake. We're currently in progress of building our temporary Bridge 1, which will be our off-ramp, our new temporary off-ramp to Montlake while we work more construction activities on the bridge. We've installed our piles, and then we've cut those down to support our temporary off-ramp and work truss and like near the work trestle. We're continuing to build that, and earlier this month in January, we installed some smaller temporary additional piles to support that off-ramp towards where the Montlake exit is. And we're currently painting and striping and building the new off ramp. So just to take a look at what this image is showing, we have our existing off ramp to Montlake for eastbound 520, our last exit before we cross 520. You can see those piles near the work trestle. And in this next slide, if we shift, it will show what that traffic shift will look like. So one really major thing I want to point out when we do make this traffic shift, which will be in as early as spring 2026, you're going to have to make that decision for taking the Montlake exit a lot sooner than we are making it now. You can see that this green shaded area that shows the new exit for the temporary off-ramp will connect back up to where we currently take that turn for Montlake, whether you're going to go left or right across the Montlake Bridge, or you're turning towards up towards Capitol Hill if you're going to head up that direction. You will have to make that decision a lot earlier. So sometimes just be aware of traffic moving. It'll be a interesting thing to think about, especially if you're coming from north or southbound I-5 to cross 520 and take the Montlake exit. You might have to shift lanes a little bit sooner and be aware of traffic backups in that area. So next slide, please. One of the other things happening in our neighborhood is the Revive I-5 project. I know there's been a lot of traffic lately. I-5 is reduced to 2 lanes, which will continue until about June 5th. This is separate work from the Portage Bay Bridge and Roanoke Lid project. It also has a separate hotline. So if you have any questions about the Revive I-5 project, you can call the hotline at 206-440-4696 or visit the Revive I-5 project website. Next slide, please. So this is traffic shifts related to more the Portage Bay Bridge project and Roanoke Lid project. We'll be working with King County Metro to remove overhead trolley lines that are going to conflict with some of our work in the area. We'll close the East Roanoke Street over I-5 and while maintaining pedestrian access during the evenings from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. from February 19th to February 20th. We'll do that overnight closure. And then the February 20th and through the 23rd, which is a weekend closure, we'll be closing that off at 11 p.m. and then to all the way through 5 a.m. on Monday morning. The yellow highlighted area will show the nightly flagging as trucks are going to move through this route just as we maintain access to the area. And we'll close the curbside lanes of East Roanoke and 10th Avenue to remove those along the route, to remove the overhead lines along the route as well. Please our listserv as well as the construction corner. So if you don't remember these dates or you didn't get a chance to write them down, you can find them there and we'll send out regular schedule changes if anything happens to our schedule. Next slide, please. Some other traffic impacts. We have an eastbound right lane closure between I-5 and the Montlake Lid, closed overnight from 7 p.m. on Saturday to 7 a.m. on Sunday, January 31st. And then also January 31st through Feb 1st, we have the westbound SR 520 between Montlake Lid and I-5 completely closed, full closure from 6 p.m. Saturday to 1 p.m. Sunday. This is a weather-dependent closure, so if there is any weather that we feel like we aren't able to complete the work during, we will adjust that closure to a different weekend. Just as I had mentioned in the previous slide, we also have a Feb 19th East Roanoke from Boylston to Harvard. That will be closed from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then as well as the weekend closure I'd mentioned for East Roanoke Street from Boylston to Harvard, we'll do a weekend closure from 11 p.m. on Friday all the way through 5 a.m. on Monday. And then just again, a reminder that January through June 5th, the northbound 2 lanes are closed for the Revive I-5 project. Please visit our construction corner for any updates or scheduled closures during this time. And I believe I'll go to the next slide, please. Pass it back to Alan. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for walking us through the construction updates. I do want to let folks know that we do have an online open house available at engage.washdot.wa.gov, where you can learn about some of the larger project elements that we have planned over the course of the next year or so. I do want to acknowledge that the meetings that we have on a monthly basis, they're more so about the upcoming construction over the course of the next month. But annually, we will have an in-person and an online open house where you can learn about our longer term schedule and our look ahead for some of the activities that we have planned in your neighborhood. So if you visit that website through March 3rd, you'll be able to learn about some of the work that we've accomplished over the last year or so, and then also get a look ahead for what to expect over the course of this next upcoming year. We will be having an in-person open house later this summer, so make sure that you are signed up for our email updates to learn when we have that date scheduled. Next slide, please. I do want to acknowledge that we have a handful of questions in the Q&A, but before I dive into some of those, I do want to just give a couple of reminders about how to stay informed with us throughout the duration of the project. So we do have our 24-hour construction hotline, 206-319-4520. You'll be able to ask us any questions about the project, or if you have anything regarding traffic or any upcoming closures, definitely feel free to give that hotline a call. Ray mentioned a couple of times we have our Construction Corner website, sr520construction.com, where we have a couple of FAQs posted under the Portage Bay Bridge webpage. And then also our homepage has a list of ongoing and upcoming street and road and highway closures as well. In addition to that, we do send regular email updates about weekly or so through the Rest of the West listserv. We have a bit.ly link and a QR code for you to scan that will bring you to our list of resources, as well as a direct link to sign up for these email updates. And then, as I mentioned, we do have these construction meetings on a monthly basis, and then we'll have a larger annual in-person meeting sometime this summer, and then our online open house as well. Next slide, please. With that, we will go ahead and dive into some of the comments and questions. For folks that did ask some questions, I did respond to a couple of people via text. So make sure that you check the answered tab in the Q&A to see if your question ended up over there. Otherwise, we do have just a handful of questions in the Q&A. Please continue to submit those as we do have a lot of time left in this meeting, but if any questions do come up after this meeting, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. With that, we'll go ahead and go in chronological order with the questions that we have in the queue. The first question from Bob, how long does each bridge shaft take to install, an estimated number of days?
Yeah, so about our drilled bridge shafts, those will be a part of creating some of the permanent structure of our bridge. We have roughly a little under 25 in the water drilled shafts that we'll be installing. Each bridge has a little over 60 drilled shafts per bridge in total, and combining in water and on land drilled shafts. I'm going to speak on part of the in water drilled shafts that we'll be starting to install sometime this year. So we'll be starting over in the Pier 4 area. If you don't mind going back to the map of the pile installation, just so I can point out where it is, that would be great. Yeah, thank you. So Pier 4 is just on the opposite side of that shaded purple area on the opposite side of the bridge. So it will be, yep, perfect. Thank you so much. What we'll do is we kind of install them in 40-foot sections. So as we're going to vibe in our drilled shaft casings, and then once we've kind of gotten to a point, we'll splice on another 40 feet and then do some more work and then splice on another 40 feet. And sorry, splicing just kind of means we're attaching another section of the drilled shaft, and we do that in 40-foot sections. So installing a casing, because of the way we'll be splicing on, will take a few days.
Great. Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
The next question that we have is from Jason. Is the northern platform with the four southern extensions protrusions, or fingers as we call them, at Skanska, just a work trestle?
Yes, that is a part of our work trestle. The protrusions are what we call the fingers, where those will assist as work platforms to kind of build out the westbound bridge between the new westbound bridge will be between our work trestle and the current bridge. So those little fingers will help us install and create a workstation. Those are where the drilled shafts will start as we kind of go and build along. So yeah, the current part is just the work trestle.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Follow-up question from Bob about the drilled shafts. Um,
Mhm.
he just wants to know how many drilled shafts there are per bridge.
Yeah, so this is a design build project. So we are still finalizing parts of our design. So right now we're a little under 25 per bridge, but we like to kind of give a rough estimate as designs might change. We haven't finalized everything. So a little under 25 at the moment per bridge in the water. That's in the water. It's not uh total. The total is going to be somewhere a little over 60 for each bridge of drilled shafts between inland and in water.
Great. Thank you, Ray. We have another question from Andrew. Have any alternatives to the driven piles been considered in the design developed by Skanska?
It's a really great question. That would be something I would look into. If you'd like to email us that question, then I can do it a little bit further and give you some of the alternatives we have looked into.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Um, we have a couple of other questions. I think we will take the questions to email. I will just pause for a brief moment to let other folks submit any questions into the Q&A. In the meantime, I do have one final slide to present. I'll go ahead and go through that and give some folks some additional time to submit any last questions. Can we move forward one more slide, please? As I mentioned at the top of the meeting, these meetings are recorded and posted on our project websites. So primarily we have our SR 520 construction corner. At the very top, you can select the construction projects, and under that tab, select Portage Bay. Under the other tab on the website, you'll be able to view this presentation and also view a recording of today's meeting. In addition to our construction corner website, we also have our WashDOT project web page as well, which if you scan the QR code to our bit.ly landing page on one of our contact us slides earlier in the presentation, that website is also linked as well. It doesn't look like we have any other, maybe a couple
I
of,
can,
sorry, I didn't scroll it.
Jason, yeah, no, you're good. I can answer Jason Rogers' question about the substructure. So if we go back to the schedule page at the very beginning of our presentation, we can just take a brief look at the schedule. So currently we're in the process of constructing our new westbound bridge. And when we do, we're going to completely remove the existing bridge. So substructure and existing platforms altogether.
Great, thank you, Ray. And also thank you for the reminder for me to scroll down. I completely missed a couple of
No, you're
questions.
good. Um,
Let's see. The next question we have is about tree removal. So we could move to the tree removal
yeah.
map. That'd be helpful. One slide seemed to show that trees on the north side of East Roanoke Street between 10th Avenue East and 11th Avenue East will be removed. Will that happen?
Yeah, if you're looking at between 10th, just on the south side of 520 between 10th and 11th, yeah, those trees will be removed to make place for our bridge, our lid structure supports, as well as the park. So we'll need to remove those with because they'll be in conflict with our plans for the lid and the structure for the lid.
Great. Thank you, Ray. A follow-up question from Bob about the time frame for the duration to install a
Yeah.
shaft. I think we can get you some more detailed information, Bob, via email. As Ray had mentioned, we're still developing some of the overall designs for the permanent structures, so we can share some information with you as we receive it. Let's see. I think with that, the remaining questions we can go ahead and take via email. If there aren't any other questions from the group, we can go ahead and end a little bit early. Thank you, everybody, for your time and for joining us. We hope to see some of you new folks joining us at our February meeting. We'll be sharing a date and registration link for our February meeting through our Rest at the West listserv very shortly. So be on the lookout for communications from myself in the next week or so. Otherwise, thank you everybody for joining and take care.
Thank you.